Hey, hi everyone. So we have a problem called sales by match in HackerRank, and the problem statement is pretty simple. There is a large pile of socks that must be paired by color. Given an array of integers representing the color of each sock, determine how many pairs of socks with matching colors there are. So in simpler words, all we need to do is we need to find out how many of these numbers form a pair, and we need to count all those pairs and return the total number of pairs. That's it. So there could be multiple approaches for this, but the way I have solved this problem is of an approach. So one thing that we can notice here is the size here is given as at max, so it will be like 101. So we can use this in loop, and then with that we can approach this problem, and that's how we can get a better time complexity for this problem. But you are free to use a unordered map or whatever approach you like, or rather a vector as well. But for my solution, I've gone ahead and use a vector to keep it simple, because that's how I wanted it to be. So this is what we are trying to do. Basically, create the frequency array, then count the pairs from the frequency array, and max size for the frequency array is already given. So we would use that, as I already mentioned. So this is the function that's provided in the program. I'll go through the approach now. So I'm just keeping a variable that is pair count, and in the end I'll be returning this variable as the result only. So the next step would be to create the frequency array. So since we know that the frequency array size would be 100, we just add one more so that we can manage with zero indexing. And after that, I am initializing the array with 0, and then we go through the array, the frequency array, and what we are doing is basically we are counting with this. We are counting like so in the frequency array, all the indexes are the values of our main array, right? So if index 1 of frequency array means the value 1 in this vector, then what we will do, we will come at the first index of frequency array and put the value as 1, because here in this vector ar 1 is present only once. But we go ahead, we traverse ahead in this vector, and if we find one more 1, there is one more 1 in the vector, which is one more element, and let's say 1 is repeating 1 2 3 4 however number of times, we will keep increasing that count with this loop. So that's what this loop is doing for every element of this vector with the frequency array. Why this syntax? So I'll explain this. So what we are trying to do first, let's just imagine, so you are first going into the frequency array, right? Okay, cool, forget what I've written inside for now. So we are going inside the frequency array. Then what is the index location that the frequency array is targeting? The frequency array is targeting this index location, uh, which it should correspond to the value of this vector, right? AR. So the frequency array for the zeroth location of AR of I, this would increase the value, and it will add the value and increase the value with every iteration of the loop. So AR of I is our index here, because we need the vector AR and pair frequency here, this array here. The values in both of these should correspond to each other, right? That is how in the frequency array the indexes would represent the values of this vector, and every value of this vector would as it keeps on getting repeated, would be getting added as the values in the as the counter values, as the number of counts in this frequency array. So that is why I've named it as pair frequency. So as the values keep on repeating in this vector array, this frequency array will keep on increasing the count, or keep on increasing the keep on increasing the count in this frequency array. And how we are doing that? We are doing that with this vector. Why we have kept the boundary condition as I less than n? Because we want to iterate through this array, but change the values or add the values in this array, right? That's what we are trying to do. So that is why I have kept the boundary condition like this. Now the second thing what that we need to do, we need to count the pairs, right? Now we have got the number of values that are repeating as in our frequency array, correct? Now we need to see how many pairs are being formed. We need to count that from this array, correct? So we are just, what we are doing is basically we are going through the frequency array, because the maximum size is this. So that's why the boundary condition here is this, that's given in the problem statement. Again, I'm mentioning. So we are going through this frequency area, we're traversing through it. What we are doing is basically we are updating our pair count every time. Why we are updating it? Because every time the pair count should update only, right? Because if there are more than one pair, then we need to count it, correct? So for that, we are updating our pair count, and we are what uh, what do we need to add into this pair count? We need to add all the values of the pairs that is being formed. So what we are doing is basically, why I will explain this part as well. So I'm adding the pair count with the pair frequency that is available from this array that we just created. So why am I dividing it by 2? Because let's say there is the counter in this pair frequency is 3, right? Let's say we get it as 3. So what would happen? Now pair frequency of I equals to 3 divided by 2. What would it return? It would return 1, right? Because 3 divided by 2 can only be resulted in 1. So that would be just one pair, and the one of the values would be discarded. We are not taking that. Then we are adding that into pair count. Our pair count initially was 0, right? So that's what we are doing. We are adding into the pair count every value from the pair frequency that we are getting after dividing it by 2. Because pair, so we only need to count pairs with any extra element which is like not into a pair. For example, if it is not divisible by 2, and value is 3, 5, 7, and those, we do not want that. We do not want the extra number, so we are only counting the pairs. So that's why we are taking this value and adding it every time into pair count, and then saving it here. So every time the pair count will get added, will get updated, and we will get ultimately our result. And then in the end, I'm just returning the pair count. That's it. It's short and simple. There could be multiple approaches that anybody can use, but if you find this easy enough and you like it, you're free to use it. Let me know if you have any feedbacks. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.